Hi, welcome to Yellow Slate, your very own school search engine that helps you find the best schools for your kid based on various filters and parameters.
Today we have with us Ms. Noopur, who works as an IB/PYP coordinator at Amrita International Vidyalayam, which is located in Bangalore. To get to know more details about the school, let's have a conversation with her. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Om Namah Shivaya.
Ma'am, to begin with, can you let us know how does a typical day be like for you at Amrita International Vidyalayam?
A typical day at our Amma school begins with lots of positivity. So in the morning, we are there to greet the children right at the entrance. And that is where we actually see their beaming smiles and their positivity when they enter the school. And they are coming there to learn. It's so visible in their eyes in the sparkle when they enter. So we start with the routine. We have an assembly every day in the morning. That's more like a circle time where it is more about taking action. It's about thought of the day. It's about our the unit action. So the children, they decide and they share what they have learned, and they share it with their buddies in the assembly, with all the PYP segment assembly. They also take this opportunity to do their chanting, their recitation. It's their area. It's their opportunity to shine, to share. After that, they all move to classes, and that's where the inquiry begins. That's the way we call it in IB. So all our curious learners, they enter into the zone of inquiry. When they're doing the inquiry, they're inspired by the teachers. So inquiry doesn't happen without being motivated by the teachers. So they begin the inquiry, and the inquiry, it is, if we say it is in all the subjects, it's not that they have entered into just a math subject or a science subject. So they begin into the inquiry, and they have their learning, which is monitored, documented at the same time. Observations are made. They are guided for the inquiry throughout the year, throughout the day, with, of course, their recreational gaps, the breaks in the middle. And they will reflect on their learning towards the end of the day. And that's when they leave for the house. So that is how a typical day at Amrita would look like.
That looks like a well structured day for the kids. Going to our next question, ma'am. Your school's tagline is the best of both worlds, new age learning and age old values. So,
Right.
what does this mean in a day to day learning experience of PYP student?
See, Ammaswar, we are an IB school which is rooted in our culture and our values with a scientific temper. So we say there has to be the blend of both tradition and your intellect, which is your thinking mind.
Yeah.
So what does what the tagline actually mean? That it is rooted towards wisdom using our age-old values.
Got it.
So we are actually inspiring the learners to do an inquiry, and with that inquiry they have to learn to be successful. They learn to actually thrive in this world. So for that, the route that we are looking at is about empowering the learners from within.
Yeah.
Make them strong from within, then they're ready to face any challenges outside.
Got it. Ma'am, in this current generation, many parents feel that, without regular tests, homework, and textbooks, children may not learn enough. So, how do you address this concern, especially being an IB PYP coordinator?
Thank you for bringing up this question. This is a very valid question, and it's like breaking the myth of IB, in fact.
Yeah.
Parents feel that IB is no stress, no test, no exam. Because we actually look at it through our experience and through our eyes, what's the kind of curriculum we have gone through. So we are not able to see exactly those exams, so we feel there is no assessment. And that is a very wrong thing to have. IB believes in the ongoing assessment. So when we have something which is ongoing, people don't realize when is the exam ending. It's all the time on. So the assessment over here, it is the assessment for learning, of learning also. So whatever assessment is done, it is to monitor what they have, what the students are learning. It is to document what they are learning, and then to record and report. So these are the 4 dimensions of assessment. So it's like us using this GPS for any place we are going. So your question was about what is the assessment happening. So when I need to know where I'm going, because assessment is basically to evaluate where I have to reach. Now, when I have to grade where I have to reach, I should also know what are the other things which is happening on that journey. So I know where I have to reach, but where I have to reach, I should also know those various stop signs, the wow moments, enjoy the journey and reach where I have to reach. So this is how my assessments are in PYP. So my assessment, I know my end goal, and while doing that journey, I will be looking at what are the observations, what were the aha moments which happened, where were the corrections which I had to do, and then I make the corrections and continue to be on my journey. So that is how I would say assessment in IB is. So for the conventional parents, it may feel there is no assessment because the variety and the diversity of assessment is different, and which you need to go to the journey to really understand.
Got it. I mean, this whole process, how do you make sure that students are feeling comfortable enough to come and ask the questions? Because that's what IB says. And can you share an example where you've seen a kid coming with a lot of curiosity and after asking, or maybe after clearing all his or her queries, that turned out to a very good learning experience for that kid?
Yes, and in fact, there are many moments to share like that. We had taken grade 1, PYP1, on the regular school, nature walk. And they were doing the unit about sharing the planet. And in that, they were exploring the various plants and animals. So they saw a lot of plants. And while they were seeing the plants, they also saw different types of plants. They saw that there was a plant which was kept in that bottle of water. And they said there is no need of soil for the plant. How is this plant growing with no soil? Because traditionally, everyone has told them that now for any plant, you require sun, you require water, and you require soil. Now that was that curiosity of the child, that how come we have a plant which doesn't have soil and it's growing? So that is what actually sparked the question. And then they explored, they looked around, and they actually reached this concept of even mangroves. That there you have plants which are all growing in water where the soil is not there. And that was the sparking question, which led them to even to the current innovations what we're happening, which is called hydroponics. So this is how inquiry happens in IB. One little spark which led to their understanding of hydroponics of PYP1. So that is how we say learning in IB, there is no boundaries to it. It could be any of that curiosity. So the unit was of plants. It was guided of plants, but they understood that yes, plants cannot only be dependent on soil, so-called soil, to grow. So that is how it happened.
In fact, that's a very good example that you brought up, ma'am. In fact, that's good to know that students made something out of this whole experiment. Yeah, ma'am. Going to our next question. So, how do you make sure that students build strong reading, writing, and learning skills as well? So, because in this particular PYP stage, that it's important that they start developing these skills, which will definitely have a longer impact when they grow further.
Very true. And I think that's a concern of all the parents now, that they are not reading enough. They are only surfing the net. They are not writing enough. They're using the shortcuts. These are the things that we hear from the parents. And it is a very valid concern to have. And how do we make them right? How do we make them? So consciously, we have decided as a school for the primary years, we have introduced one newspaper. So every child gets a newspaper. And that newspaper selection was based on a lot of pros and cons. We had weighed several newspapers. So we have taken a newspaper which is age appropriate, which builds in resources for an inquiry. And it has got the current affairs. It has an option for the children to also take part in competitions. And this newspaper is very colorful and has a lot of activities. That is the way that we have inspired. When we said about inspire, inquire, and thrive. To inspire anyone, you need to motivate. And this is a very good motivator. When they have a newspaper, they read, and they are encouraged to read. And what they read, they also are encouraged to write a reflection. And the same newspaper goes home with them every day. So that's a very simple way to create one of the sustainable reading habit, and which leads them to be a lifelong learner. And they'll always be encouraged to read what they read. And now there is no limit on their vocabulary, because newspapers will have a very enriched vocabulary. It will just not be linked to a select 50 words or 100 words. So depending upon the capability of a child, they are able to read the newspaper. Sometimes they have guided reading sessions. Children also reflect on what they have read in their learning journals. Sometimes class assessment and class assignment and homework assignments are also sent from these resources. So one is, of course, a newspaper. Then we have our reference books. We have a very well-stocked library, which has got books of all languages, not only English, but multilingual books are there. So this is a way that we have encouraged reading and writing and of course understanding of the language.
But how do you make sure that you're monitoring whether the kid is actually enjoying this whole process, or maybe we need to try some other alternative to make sure that the kid is not falling behind?
That's very true, because that is where we again bring to the part of assessment.
Yeah.
Because you have to evaluate, you have to make sure that what is the purpose, has it been met or no. So if that teacher observes that this child is not able to read the paper, it could be because of learning gap, number one. It could be because of interest not being there, and not that interest could be because of the article, what it is written, it is not of the interest. So when that teacher looks at the interest of the child, they are able to maneuver, they're able to guide the child that this is how you build the interest. Maybe it is not this article the child is interested. So there are other activities which will make you interested. Similarly, in the classroom, when we have reading resources. So we have reading cards in the classroom. So children have the option to either use a reading cards or they have the hands-on tools. So maybe they are not in the mood to read that time. Some children like to hear out instead of reading. So that is also taken care of. So maybe the instructions are instead of making the child read, then we can have this buddy reading. We also do think, pair, share. So then it is that other buddy who's reading out to the child, right? So these are the various strategies that we use to keep alive the interest of reading.
Got it, ma'am. Ma'am, your school focuses a lot on empathy and kindness. So how do you make sure all the educators are making sure that these kind of qualities are being developed in the children?
Very true. And I think that's one thing we all require in the current world: empathy and compassion. So you cannot be successful without being caring for others. So empathy is also the core value of a school. So our lessons, whatever conversations we have with children, somewhere or the other brings that thought to the child that you have to be compassionate, you have to be mindful. So they all sound very similar, but we bring them to practice in our day-to-day conversations. And I would like to actually share an experience over here. So when in any unit, they have something called taking action. So what they have learned in the unit, they will try to bring it to life. So they were doing the unit of, economies, about demand and supply. So they were understanding market. This is grade 4, which I'm talking about. So they were understanding demand, supply, market. So they said, let us also just make a fair. Let's have a carnival. Let's have this small sale in our segment. Whatever proceeds are collected, that proceeds will be all going to one of the nearby schools, which is a government. So that is how the conversations about empathy comes into action, into life. So they had a small sale, and from the proceeds they had funded some stationery for the government school.
We are living in an AI world. So how do you make sure that students are being able to adapt to this technology-driven generation? And not just students, even teachers are supposed to keep themselves updated on daily basis. So what exactly is going on in terms of this aspect at Amrita International Vidyalaya?
Very true. Again, a very important question, because AI, we use 2 AIs in a school.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. So one is artificial intelligence, and the other AI, which is very popular with our students, it is called academic integrity.
Okay.
So AI should be equal to AI is what we tell our students. And it starts very early in PYP1, that you have all the tools around you. So artificial intelligence is another tool with you to always do your work faster. Now, we explain AI to the children from grade 1 itself, because they are exposed, they are seeing everything around them. They are aware of all these LLMs and this ChatGPT, they know it. So we, in order to make them ethical users of AI, we have in our school implemented this academic integrity policy from PYP1 itself. So when I say academic integrity policy, we talk about honesty, truthfulness, and also respect, which is equal to giving. It is actually about giving credit to the source. So students with very small activities in the class understand that all these tools are available to you. You should know how to use it, because you cannot shy away from technology.
Yes.
You will use the technology, but use it with the right manner. So if you are actually using AI, if you are using any of those sites, mention it in your work. So they know these words like citation. And if you will visit our website, you will see that it is grade 1 students who have in fact made posters about citations and about giving credit, academic integrity, because I think they are the citizens of future. And if they are not, again, as we say, empowered from within and not ethical, and they're not ethical, they will not be able to be the genuine users of technology.
Yes.
So AI, we start from grade 1 itself. We have ICT, which is computer technology. We have STEAM, which is again science, and we have robotics. So they all use AI in the sense they know the tools. And from grade 4 and 5, we actually give them tasks where they will use AI for the research. And when they are using that, we also give them those broad parameters, and they use those rubrics and they follow the parameters, and they also cite the sources. So they should be familiar, but they should be also ethical about using.
That's absolutely right. How does a school make sure that, I mean, the teachers are also up to date with the current change in technology?
Yes, but students are going at a much faster rate and pace in everything. So to ensure that the teachers are also nowhere left behind, we have regular workshops for sure. They attend the workshops, they attend SAIPSA, they attend all the required IB trainings. At the same time, we've got something called this sharing of the best practices. Once a week on Wednesday, our entire all our teachers meet, and that is when they will share about what is happening globally. So anything which is happening, which is required, which can impact our own facilitators, teachers discuss it. So there is always mutual learning and mutual growing for the team. So they ensure that they are attending workshops, they are sharing the best practices, and of course we have regular PD, the professional development. And when I look at it, I can also add, because it is linked to AI, teachers are also equally ethical in their citation. So even if they prepare worksheets, they also cite the resources. They will not say it is my own worksheet. So they write the sources. They also quote the wherever the sources they have taken or whatever sites help that they're taking. They do that too.
Got it. To conclude an interview, if you have to let parents know what is that one recipe of Amrita International Vidyalaya that they should definitely look out for, what would it be?
One main thing I will say, it is compassionate learning with a scientific temper to be global citizens for tomorrow. So definitely you have to be compassionate when you're learning. You should have a scientific bent of mind when you're learning, and you should grow globally. You should have international mindedness, acceptance of all. So I will again stick to those 3 words: inspire, inquire, and thrive.
Got it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time. It was a great interaction with you. I'm sure this will help for parents looking for best schools in Bangalore, especially Amrita International Vidyalaya. Thank you.